E aí pessoal, sejam bem-vindos a mais um episódio da Mavuika no Genshin. Continuar a história da Kokomi. Infelizmente, né, não vamos conseguir... Infelizmente não vamos conseguir voltar a Fontaine até o capítulo 100, mas... Vamos lá, não se esqueça de deixar o like, se inscrever, etc, etc. E bora lá fazer pra tentar a paz aqui.
These are some directives I wrote last night. These negotiations are complex, to be sure, but I thought about it carefully and realized there are no more than 187 possible outcomes. I took the liberty of writing them all down. This way, you will be able to adapt with speed, no matter how the events play out.
Whoa, this is huge! Let's see. Fierce dispute, violent escalation, armed revolt, coordinated attack, seize hostages. Wow, there are so many! But you've thought of a solution to each one! Hyman suddenly feels a lot less nervous.
Glad to hear it. These peace talks are quite exceptional. It is a major step forward both for Watatsumi Island and the Shogunate. But any amount of dissatisfaction within our ranks weakens our negotiating position. We will have to work all the harder if we want these talks to be a success. As the Divine Priestess of Watatsumi Island, this responsibility is, of course, mine to shoulder. But would you be willing to lend me a hand? Excellent. Okay, time to head off.
Acho que essa aqui a gente já tentou pegar, só que ela não tá de... Ela deve estar aqui dentro. Ahá! Prontinho. Aí tem outra lá, que eu já sei mais ou menos onde que tá, que tá horrível pra pegar. Mas vamos resolver aqui, agora continuar a história. Pelo menos pegamos mais um aqui. Esse baú ainda tá fechado. Parece que a Showa parou. Será que é por conta que terminou a missão lá da Shogun? Que aqui é onde que tava chovendo, se eu não me engano. Bem longe. Então, quase chegando na região, ok. Descendo. Puxou. Desceu. Aí. Ah, é.
It's been a while, Kujo-Sara. I believe the last time we met was on the battlefield.
Yes, where you dealt my forces quite the devastating blow. But before we go any further, what are you doing here?
That's right. She's here to bear witness to the proceedings. She experienced the war between us firsthand and has made an enormous contribution towards securing the peace we have today. I couldn't think of a more suitable candidate.
Seems reasonable. Then let's get straight into it. The first item is the Maritime Administration issue. During wartime, we restricted fishing rights for Watatsumi vessels in Narukami waters. We intend to remove these restrictions, but going forward, any of your vessels that fish in our waters will have to pay taxes in accordance with Narukami legislation in order to bring their catch back to Watatsumi.
That's fine, but if they're paying taxes, they should also be entitled to protection from the Tenryou Commission while in your waters. Any losses they sustain due to issues of public security will need to be compensated by the Tenryou Commission.
Accepted. Let's add that to the peace treaty. I can assure you that your vessels will be quite safe in our hands.
Negotiations seem to be going pretty smoothly.
The next item has to do with the movement of people and military authority. In the past, our people have been subjected to lengthy interrogations on arrival in Watatsumi, and the same has been true for your people on arrival to Narukami. Economic cooperation between our islands has suffered greatly as a consequence. Few merchants are now willing to engage in inter-island commerce. Since the war is now over, I propose that we have the Yashiro Commission appoint a business council to oversee trade between our two islands.
The problem there is that trade is a reciprocal affair. We'll need to involve merchants from both sides in this process if it is to succeed. We cannot give the Yashiro Commission full authority.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Watatsumi Island facing severe shortages of many essential goods at the moment? Having the Yashiro Commission organize everything centrally would work in your favor.
True, we're experiencing some shortages, but we will recover in due course. Between the diverse range of goods we can produce ourselves and our strong trade links with other areas, we are capable of sourcing everything we need. Not to mention that your proposal would require separate talks with the Kamisato clan. If they've yet to sanction it, I believe you are going beyond the remit of the Tenryou Commission's authority.
Let's leave that aside for now then. On to the military question. Watatsumi Island's forces will need to come back under the jurisdiction of the Tenryou Commission.
That just isn't feasible. Not in the short term, at least.
With all due respect, feasibility doesn't come into it. The Tenryou Commission alone has ultimate responsibility for Inazuma's national security. We cannot allow Watatsumi Island to be the sole exception to this rule indefinitely.
You Kujo scum! Colluding with the Fatui isn't low enough for you already. You just want to take everything away from us.
Vai ter briga.
Never trust the Kujo. Let's get them. Protect Madame Kujo.
Number 16. No, wait. 67? Or is it 73? Which one is it?
Dois cagão ali.
Kokomi! Which scenario number is this in the directives?
The last one, but hold off for the moment. Stand down, Tadakatsu! The situation has changed. Please stand by for further orders. Rest assured, I am fully aware of your concerns, but I will deal with the situation from here. Madam Kujo, this is rather serious. I believe you owe Watatsumi Island an explanation.
Excuse me for a moment. Nobody makes another move until I have finished investigating. You two, here, now! Speak! Collusion with the Fatui? Is this true?
I wouldn't exactly call it collusion as such.
We were approached by a few Fatui. They mentioned a potential cooperation to keep the war against Watatsumi Island going. At the time, I felt like we could give it a try. After all, there'd be nothing to lose.
But we were extremely careful. We didn't agree to anything. We just said they could maybe start by heading to Watatsumi Island and stirring things up a little. Then we'd see how it went. With respect, ma'am, there was no collusion. It was just a one-off conversation. How anyone from Watatsumi Island even found out about it, I have no idea.
That's enough. When we return, there will be consequences.
Burrice.
I remind you that this is the Fatui. Have you completely forgotten what they did to us? You should be having no interaction with them whatsoever, let alone entertaining offers of cooperation. So, What did they want out of it?
The Fatui's main forces have already left Inazuma. The few who approached us seemed like they wanted to settle a score for their boss.
Oh, her subordinates. So they're out for revenge. They want to keep Inazuma in a state of turmoil. One day, I will hunt them down. Every last one. We bear responsibility for this issue. My sincere apologies. I have my own negligence to blame for this state of affairs. Please, grant us another chance to continue the peace talks.
But of course, Madame Kujo. I have every confidence in your ability to resolve this situation. For the time being, however, there is evidently some discord within the Tenryou Commission's ranks. I would therefore not feel comfortable releasing Watatsumi Island's forces into your command at this time.
It seems that I must acquiesce. I will lay this issue aside for now. But we shall revisit it as soon as the Tenryou Commission has resolved our internal issues. As for the trade issues we raised, I will discuss options with the Yashiro Commission and make sure both sides have ample participation in the final arrangement.
Seems like Kujo-Sara's on the defensive now. These negotiations should be smooth sailing from here on out.
Aparentemente.
I never knew the grand strategist of Watatsumi Island was a skilled negotiator, as well as a formidable commander. I hope that when we meet again, we can continue these sit-down discussions. Settling our differences on the battlefield is rather taxing. I think we can leave things there for today. Once I get back, I will conduct a thorough investigation into the Tenryou Commission's internal issues.
I should inform you that we took out a Fatui camp recently. I suspect that before long, they will attempt to re-establish contact with your people in the hope of procuring some assistance. I recommend you say and do nothing on the matter for the time being, lest you tip them off and they disappear. Wait for them to come to you. That way, you can capture them all in one fell swoop.
I will bear this in mind. Thank you. I shall take my leave now. Until we meet again.
Your Excellency, we...
Let's discuss it after we get back.
Ok, por enquanto tá indo de boa. Nenhum problema maior, tá tudo certinho. O que é ruim pra gente, porque eu queria mais combate, mas... Tá bom. Uau, um monte de água viva voando no céu.
Your Excellency, you knew?
I have already been informed on the reasons for your actions. You believe the Tenryou Commission to be untrustworthy and sought to sabotage the peace talks and reignite the war. Fortunately, the end result exposed and thwarted a secret Tenryou Commission plot. Yet, this was purely incidental, and the end certainly did not justify your means.
But Your Excellency, so many comrades have sacrificed themselves in the line of duty. If we stop now, aren't all of our efforts going to waste? I want to keep fighting. I want ultimate victory, even if it means I have to pay the ultimate price.
I understand your sentiments, but you cannot simply impose your will and expect others to bear the consequences. During the war, there were highs and there were lows, and in the end, there was a glorious victory. For you, perhaps the experience was one of great excitement. But you saw nothing of the countless others who will remember the war quite differently. Most people suffered terribly through each day. Watatsumi Island's people yearn for peace because they have long since given all they had to the war effort. They are tired of treading water and don't need you dragging them back underneath once again.
But...
I understand, I do. And the fault is not yours alone. It was largely an oversight on my part. I taught you to nurture a warrior's will, but never how to let it go.
It's not your fault, Your Excellency. It was ours. Our selfishness. Either way, we are ready to accept sentencing under martial law.
Very well. Then I hereby declare that as of today, I am founding a new secret corps of the army. This division will be responsible for keeping Watatsumi Island safe and secure, neutralizing any and all threats to the peace of our island. You and your comrades will all be welcome to join, but be warned, the training will be grueling. Perseverance and grit will be in high demand.
Your Excellency, what are you saying?
I have concluded from today's peace talks that the Kujo clan cannot achieve absolute peace and stability in the near future. Many seek peace, but there are still those who pursue war. It is right that Watatsumi Island moves towards peace, but we must still retain a defensive capacity. Those whose warrior's will is alive and well, I invite you to embark on the most challenging training regimen of your lives. I don't want to hear from any of you again until all of you can take on 2 shogunate samurai at a time.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
All right, dismissed. Go and report to General Goro. And remember, there can be no more insubordination. And if there is, there will be no more leniency from me, whatever reasons you may have.
Yes, ma'am. From now on, we will focus on our training. Thank you for this opportunity, Your Excellency. We'll report to General Goro right away.
I think that's finally everything in hand. I can feel my energy levels starting to drop. Meet you back at the hideout for some rest?
E lá vamos nós de novo, mais uma cena. Ô, saco do caramba. É, sempre teleportar no mesmo lugarzinho pra poder ir mais um pouquinho mais rápido. Lembrando que aqui é dentro da caverninha. Ah, não é. Não, 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 não. Au. Tá, pelo menos a gente pega o baú aqui.
Something to add to my collection.
Agora tem que subir tudo de novo, errei. Ah, mas tudo bem, subir rapidinho. Ô, saco. Sobe. Sobe. Ah, droga. Sobe. Sobe. Prontinho.
Thank you for everything. With your help, peace has been restored on Watatsumi Island once more. Recovering. Slowly, but surely. I should be raring to go before too long. Today was a reminder that I don't cope well in situations with lots of people. I've improved, but I still get nervous when more than a handful of people are involved. I think I might get Goro to handle the negotiations next time. Do you think so? To be honest, I'm still a long way off what's expected of a divine priestess. In the past, I was concerned only with winning the war, restoring peace, and making sure everyone could live a happy life. But I realize now that wasn't going far enough. People have all kinds of aspirations, and just as many measures of happiness. I have a long way to go, but that's okay. If I can't make the journey in one giant leap, I'll just have to settle for taking it one small step at a time. In short, I've still got some maturing to do. Could you stay here on Watatsumi Island? To keep me company for a while longer?
Acabou, ato 1. Aê! A ser continuado. Ok, missões lendárias. Ah, pegou uns aduito. Vamos ver aqui, o que mais precisamos fazer aqui. Ver detalhes. É exatamente a história do Ito que a gente tem que fazer. Eita caramba. Maldade Oni. Vão ter que começar a fazer a história do Ito, que é a última antes de voltar na Astra Fontaine. Com certeza não vai dar pra fazer até fazer 100 episódios, mas pelo menos chegamos mais perto, né? Por que não? Vamos já aproveitar que tá no caminho, vamos resgatar aqui. E vamos direto, né? Vamos pegar aqui mais um pouquinho aqui. Vamos direitinho, por que não? Ah, já vai até mandar aqui já. Ah, os besouros lutando aí. Pokémon agora.
Hi, Catherine. It's us. Was there something we could help with?
Yes. I'm afraid that I have another task that requires your assistance. The Adventurers Guild has recently received a commission directly from the Tenryou Commission. The assignment is both urgent and dangerous. After assessing the assignment, the Guild has concluded that seasoned adventurers are required. Naturally, you came to mind.
Just another day on the job for us.
Allow me to explain. The Tenryou Commission recently issued an arrest warrant for a young Oni by the name of Arataki Ito.
Oni? You mean those big, tough-looking guys with horns on their heads?
That's correct. This particular Oni is quite vocal and audacious, so he already has quite the reputation on the streets. That said, he has never been caught up in major trouble of any kind. So it came as a surprise to learn that he has recently been accused of stealing things, and sometimes even whisking away the people themselves. But it doesn't end there. When the Tenryou Commission dispatched a Doshin to apprehend him, he assaulted the Doshin before making a getaway with his accomplices.
So let Paimon guess. It's up to us to bring the Oni in. No problemo. This does sound like a job for the Traveler. She'll be back with that Oni in no time.
I have complete confidence you will succeed. However, please exercise caution. This Oni also happens to hold a vision, and is the leader of an organization known as the Arataki Gang.
Mas eu tenho uma Paimon, tá achando que a Paimon é o Hulk?
On second thought, Paimon will leave the fighting to you. The last place Paimon wants to be is in a gang fight.
We are still investigating Arataki Ito's potential motives behind these incidents, as well as his current whereabouts. But please ask around in the streets as well. There will likely be others more familiar with Ito's circumstances than I am, who can provide you with useful information. Thank you. I will await your return. Ad Astra Avisask.
E começamos. Atrás do Ito, então, vai. Por que precisamos cuidar do Ito? Eu não sei ainda, mas vamos descobrir. Vamos aqui então perguntar para acessórios aqui, rapidão.
Arataki Ito? Yeah, I've heard of the guy. Word is he did something monumentally stupid, then ran off before they could catch him. And to be completely honest, I was a little surprised when I first heard it. Okay, well, I mean, not that surprised.
Wait, you mean he already had a bad reputation?
No, not exactly. He's just very overbearing in everything he does. Big and brash and always making a ruckus. So, on the one hand, he's a larger-than-life kind of guy. But on the other hand, he's emotionally volatile. When he's in a good mood, he's as high as a kite. But when he gets upset, he gets completely enraged. I don't personally see him as a bad guy, but I guess I wouldn't put it past him to get all riled up and lose control. You know, I'm afraid that I'm not too sure myself. I keep a pretty good eye on what's happening in the city, and as far as I can tell, he just idles the days away. When someone asks for it, he's willing to lend a helping hand, but other than that, he's just out making a scene with the kids on the street or his gang. If I had to guess, his lack of income finally drove him to do something more drastic to make ends meet.
Is it just Paimon, or is this Ito fellow starting to sound pretty weird?
I'm afraid that I don't have much else to tell you. He tends to spend his time with people a little more lively than myself. Perhaps you could try asking around some more.
Okay, thanks.
Vamos ver mais um e aí terminar. Aí uma pessoinha. É o início da nossa caçada ao Ito. O que temos aqui? Beleza, nada demais. Senhorita Mio.
Ito? Oh yeah, I heard about that whole thing. I'm sure it must have been a mix-up on the Tenryou Commission's end. He could never do anything so dastardly.
Huh? How can you be so sure? Is he really as trustworthy as all that?
No, perhaps you misunderstand me. When I said he could never do anything dastardly, I meant he literally doesn't have what it takes. Maybe a story will explain it better. So, he used to spend a lot of time playing rock, paper, scissors and hide and seek with the kids on the streets. Kids, being kids, aren't exactly the most difficult to outsmart. I'm sure you can see what I'm getting at here. He used to lose all the time, sometimes catastrophically.
On purpose, though, right?
No.
No, not at all. The one time I saw him win, he started jumping around and yelling, "I won! I finally won! I'm unbeatable!" and so on. Then he took the kid's candy as his prize and ate it right there in front of him.
Ugh, that's just plain wrong.
He did take it way too far that time. The poor kid started crying, so I stepped in and gave Ito a scolding. He was pretty quick to admit that he was fully in the wrong, and it wasn't long before the kid had stopped crying and was laughing and playing again as if nothing had ever happened. In fact, the children quite like playing with him because he's always serious about the stakes and never throws a game on purpose. So, I suppose what I'm trying to say is a guy who can't even beat kids at a children's game really gonna be capable of these kinds of diabolical deeds?
Faz sentido.
Doesn't sound like a bad guy at all. In fact, he kind of sounds like a man of integrity.
Yes, my thoughts exactly. Still, the Tenryou Commission's evidence against him is supposed to be irrefutable. So, I'm not trying to condone his actions or anything. If he really has messed up big time, then he should face the consequences just like anyone else.
Thanks for the info. We'll keep asking around.
Vamos treinar com a última pessoa no próximo episódio, tá? Por enquanto vamos ficando por aqui mesmo. Vamos dar glória aqui então a Kokomi mais uma vez. E agora vamos começar a caçada do Ito, né? Não se esqueça de deixar o like, se inscrever, etc, etc. E até o próximo vídeo.